Mission Church, how you guys doing? You okay? You good? Good. You are. Hey, good morning. It's good to be with you guys. If I haven't met you yet, my name is Dan Ruda. I'm one of the pastors here at Mission Church. Great to be with you guys. And as Stephen just mentioned, we are in a summer teaching series called Highlight Reel. We have been looking at key transformational moments in the ministry of Jesus, like his top moments, his highlight reel. And this series is all about helping us discover who Jesus is and see what it's like to follow him. And so today we're looking at another highlight reel. It's one of my favorites. It can be found in John chapter 2. And so if you have a Bible, if you've got your YouVersion Bible app on your phone, you can hit that, open it up. We'll also pull it up for you on the screen behind me. And this highlight reel, Italians love it because it involves wine, a little vino. It gets a ton of press because it's Jesus' first miracle. And it's super fitting for this summer series because it occurs at a party. And summertime is party time. I know that you're feeling it. Between wedding season and wedding anniversaries, which, shameless plug, tomorrow is my wife Grace and my 12-year wedding anniversary. Can you believe it? Yeah. Happy anniversary, Grace. So if you have any gift ideas, I still have 24 hours. No, we haven't a thing. I'm like, babe, anything you want from Aldi or Costco. Just you, on me, go and get it. But it's summertime, and so it is party time. Stadiums are packed. We are excited for summer. And as I was reading about this account in John chapter 2 of a party where Jesus does his first miracle, I was reminded of this other party. I don't know if you'd heard about this. It's known as the best party that never was. In fact, there's a documentary about it on Hulu. It's called The Fyre Festival. Have you heard about this? Have you heard about it? Okay. Now, I'm not endorsing this because it's not the cleanest of documentaries, but if you have a complaint, you can email tommy@wearemission.com. The greatest party that never was. It was called The Fyre Festival. It was set to happen in 2017. It was the brainchild of millennial business golden boy Billy McFarland and rap icon Ja Rule. Like, who doesn't need a little Ja in their life? This is amazing. The Fyre Fest was described as a 2-weekend immersive experience of transformation, taking participants to the boundaries of the impossible. Fyre Fest, it was focused on millennials with disposable cash, fueled by social media influencers and propagated by marketing promises of the best music, models, and luxury living that you can imagine. Fyre Fest was not only the party of a decade, it was the party of your lifetime. Partying with people you want to be, becoming who you aspire to be, and exclusively and uniquely just for you. It was going to be hosted at Pablo Escobar's private island in the Bahamas. Private jets for transportation and private luxury living. This was the picture of your Fyre Fest experience. And so Fyre, it goes viral. General admission tickets ranging in the thousands of dollars sell out, so they just start adding new villa packages. Amazing amenities, access to exclusive bands. The tickets go from $25,000 to $250,000 per ticket. And those sell out. So 20,000 plus millennials prepare for Fyre Fest, and they descend upon the Bahamas. Only there was one problem. Fyre Fest ran out of everything. Literally everything. In most cases, they didn't even have anything prepared. Bands backed out the week and day of. Luxurious villas that were promised never even existed. Luxury accommodations never got put up. There was no plan to feed 20,000 people, let alone 20,000 people getting 5-star meals from 5-star chefs. And so they arrive, and here's your luxury villa. Yep. They're FEMA tents. Hungry? 5 stars, we got you covered. Here's what you could get if you were lucky. The whole thing, Fyre Fest, was a huge embarrassment. Scam and shame were the trending words around Fyre Fest. And it got dicey there for a bit. People were stuck, stranded, freaking out, trying to get home. They were passing out, they were sleeping. at airport tarmacs just trying to get a ticket to head back home. Today, our boy Billy, he's in a $100 million class action lawsuit. He's personally owes $26 million to unpaid contracts and fines, and he's doing 6 years in federal prison. Actually, when you Google Billy McFarland in his name, you'll see in parentheses, fraudster. Firefest. This was the greatest party that never happened. Today, we're talking about the greatest party that ever happened. Now, it's at a totally different scale. It's a small family and friends wedding that happened at Cana in Galilee a few thousand years ago. It's not quite the same setting as the Bahamas, but it's special in its own right. And see, it's the greatest party that ever was because of what it sets in motion. At this wedding party of all places, Jesus goes public with his ministry of helping people find and follow Christ. He performs his first miracle and he provides his first sign showing that everything about your life needs everything he brings to the party. This is right at the start of his mission. And we here at Mission Church, we have a mission of helping people find and follow Christ. So I thought it would just be fitting to go back and look at how he started when it comes to helping people find and follow him. And so our bottom line for this highlight reel moment is that in this story, Jesus reveals both the way to life and the way to live. Say those bold words with me. The way to and the way to. It's a twofer. 2 for 1. And so if you're checking all this Jesus church stuff out, my prayer for you today is that you will see Jesus is the way to life. And if you are a follower of Jesus, my prayer is that you would see the simplicity of how he lives on mission and reveals this way to live. So let's jump into John chapter 2, verse 1. It says, "On the third day, there was a wedding at Cana in Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Jesus was also invited to the wedding with his disciples. When the wine ran out, the mother of Jesus said to him, 'They have no wine.'" Now let's just pause for a second. The Italians in the room, your heart has already dropped. You're like, "They have no wine." Close it up. We're done. See, weddings, this was like a multi-day festival thing. These weddings would be like a week long. They're not even halfway into it, and they are out of wine. For the rest of us, maybe half for non-Italians, this is their Firefest moment. Like, this is a debacle. This is not going to go well. In fact, at a wedding like this at this time, the mother-in-law could legally sue her new son-in-law for a botched wedding. Think like defamation of character. Our entire family, community, social sphere is here together, and we can't even provide anything for them? Shame was all over this wedding at a point like this. And so Mary, Jesus' mother, comes to him and says, "They have no wine." And Jesus says to her, "Woman, what does this have to do with me? My hour has not yet come." See, Jesus, this is his first sign. He's saying, I have a plan and a buildup for what my life on this scene is going to look like. And it's not starting right now. I know what I'm doing. And so Mary, his mother, said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." Now there were 6 stone water jars there for the Jewish rites of purification, each holding 20 or 30 gallons. Jesus said to the servants, "Fill the jars with water." And they filled them up to the brim. And he said to them, "Now draw some out and take it to the master of the feast." So they took it. When the master of the feast tasted the water now become wine and did not know where it came from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew, the master of the feast called the bridegroom and said to him, "Everyone serves the good wine first, and when people have drunk freely, then the poor wine. But you have kept the good wine until now." This, the first of his signs, Jesus did at Cana in Galilee and manifested his glory. And his disciples believed him. I love this story. It's layered. This story is commonly known as Jesus' first miracle. He turns water into wine. Perhaps you've heard about this miracle. But what's interesting is, as we just read the story, nowhere does it call it a miracle. I mean, it was a miracle. He reversed nature. He made wine from water. This isn't just like a chemistry experiment. It's a miracle. But the passage calls it a sign. See, a miracle alters what is. A sign points to what will be. And in this highlight reel moment, Jesus, this sign, he's doing two things. He's revealing the way to life and the way to live. And he does it on mission at a party. And so I want to look at 3 missional moves Jesus makes to help people find and follow Christ at a party. Let's look at the first thing he does. First, invite. Invite. Let's look back at verse 2. It says, Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. Jesus was invited, and he invites his disciples to come along with him. Not only that, he invites people at this wedding into encounters with him. One of the best ways to help people find and follow Christ is to invite or be invited to literally anything. The block party, the baseball game, fireworks for the 4th of July. Invite or be invited. Jesus was rarely a table for one. He was always hanging around people, moving toward people or saying, I'm coming over. Now for me, an introvert, this is exhausting. I love tables for one. But also like me, Jesus, he had this heart of compassion. John's taught us about that. Compassion and this mission that compelled him towards people. And that is his heart towards you. And if you are a follower of Jesus, that's what the Spirit does in us. Gives us a heart of compassion and a calling on mission to move towards others. And so he invites. You never know the power of an invite. Transformation is often just on the other side of an invitation. As I was thinking about this, I was reminded of the amazing transformation that God has done in my life and in our family's life over these past 10 years. From a simple invite over 10 years ago from Tommy and John, who said, I think we're going to be planting a church in our hometown. We don't know what it's going to be called. There's only a few of us. And what God has done to build this thing, Mission Church. God has brought so much transformation, and his promises have come true in my life through that invite. I think about the conversations I've had with so many of you saying the life change that God has done here at Mission Church because someone invited me to come and see. Praise God for that. Transformation is often just on the other side of an invitation. And so I want to ask you this summer, where is an invite waiting to happen? Maybe it's an invite to Mission Church, or maybe it's just an invite to access your life. Maybe it's an invite into new intentionality with your same extended family. Maybe it's an invite to help your kids find and follow Christ as they've come a little bit older and they have new questions and doubts. Maybe it's an invite that can be made on your street, where you work, at your gym, just an invite to hear a little bit about their life. Where is an invite waiting to happen? An invite can change everything for a person, and Jesus' mission has always been about people. And so let's look at what he does, how he invites people in while he's at this party. Let's look back at a few of them. First, there's Mary, his mom. Now, I would say she's desperate. She's desperate. She's like, Jesus, they're out. They're out of line. And I love that she doesn't show up to Jesus and say, here's what I need you to do. She just brings him her need. And maybe for some of you today, you would say, you're desperate. You're desiring and you're praying for a miracle. You don't know a plan or path forward. And Jesus is inviting you in your desperation to just come to him and say, I need you. Jesus invites the desperate. He also invites the doubtful to encounter him. Look at the servants from this story. Look, they were just working a wedding gig, and they're like, we're out, just waiting to be fired. We know these types. They were just working a wedding gig. White polyester button-up, crooked black bow tie. I've been one of these people. Like, my job is just to walk around the wedding and give the stuffed mushroom caps and the shrimp cocktail. Like, this problem is above my pay grade. I got nothing here. And Jesus invites them to an experience. Or how about the master of the feast? He wasn't desperate. He wasn't doubtful. He was delighted. This master of the feast, think about him like the wedding planner, right? This guy was responsible, but this is fascinating to me. The wedding planner, he's the first one to taste this water turned into wine, and it's the best wine he's ever tasted in his entire life. He's delighted. He's like, whoa, this is unbelievable. And what's crazy is he got credit and did nothing to fix the problem. They're like, this party just got better. He's like, I know, this is the best thing I've ever had. And he did nothing to fix the problem. And if you're a follower of Jesus like I am, this is us. We get the best wine, and we did nothing to fix the problem, but Jesus acted on our behalf. Jesus, in this moment, he's revealing this way to life and the way to live. It begins with an invite. If you're a follower of Jesus, who are you inviting? And if you're not yet, hear Jesus saying to you, are you desperate? Are you doubtful? Are you even delighted in your current stage of life? I invite you into an encounter with me. Jesus invites. And I want to invite you into an invite opportunity that we're going to have coming up. Some of you, you've heard about the Alpha Course. All right, the Alpha Course is going to be starting this fall, and you're going to hear all about it in August. Alpha is basically a weekly party. We have food, catered dinner, we watch a short documentary about life, faith, and meaning, and then we talk about it. And so I want to invite you to plan for the fall. And even as you're talking to friends and family over this summer, invite them to try Alpha. Say you've got a seat, and you'll come with them. Any information, and you can even register now, you can head to yalpha.com to get information. I want to invite you to invite others to a party and see what might happen. Jesus, he begins with an invite, but then Jesus does the next thing. He involves. Invite and involve. More than simply invite people, he involves people. There is a massive difference between an invite and being involved. See, so often Christians, we like invite our friends to stuff and then we instruct them. And Jesus is modeling like, no. Like even what I'm doing right now, this isn't normal. You invite and then you involve them. Draw out what's already in them. There's a big difference between invite and involve. I've come to learn this, and my not yet 3-year-old daughter, Elliot, she's come to learn this. Big difference between invite and involve. You know, I'll come home from work, end of the day, we'll have dinner as a family. Right before bath time, I'll be like, hey, Elliot, do you want to play? And I'll invite her, come down, get some toys, let's play for a little while. And so I'll be on the ground, we'll have a doll in one hand, we'll be playing for a little bit, and about 3 to 5 minutes later, I get a notification on my phone, and then I'm looking at that. And she'll go, Dad, play with me. And I'm like, yeah, I am playing. Look, this hand's doing something. She's like, Dad, you're not playing. I'm like, yes, I am. Look, the doll. Here he goes. See, no. She knows what Jesus knows, which is to invite is to just be around somebody. But to involve is to engage. And so Jesus, after an invite, he looks for opportunities to just simply involve. This is what it looks like to love. To involve people at whatever stage of faith they are. So let's look back at how he does this with those around him. For Mary, I love this. She actually kind of goes first with acting out the faith that she has. Imagine being the mother of the Son of God, raising a know-it-all who literally knows it all. How do you parent that? Now, she knows the promise of who her son Jesus is, but she doesn't know everything about what his life is going to look like, what he's going to do. And so the bit of faith she has, she doesn't know what to do to fix this situation, but she knows who to get. And so she just goes and she gets Jesus. And look at how Jesus then involves her faith. She shows up to him and says, son, they're out of wine. I need something. And he asks her a question involving her faith. Woman, why do you involve me? She says, I need. And he says, why me? And then that space of silence, her faith is drawn out. Maybe that's a question for you and I today. If you are desperate or doubtful and you are saying, God, would you just show up? What if he's asking you, why do you need me? And then he leaves you to wrestle with what you believe about who he is. Maybe he wants to hear who you believe that he is. He involves her faith. He draws out what she already knows. And let's look at the servants. How does he involve them in this encounter? Jesus, when Mary says, looks at the servants, do whatever he tells you to do. The servants are instructed by Jesus, fill up these jars, these ceremonial cleansing jars. Fill them up with water, so they fill them to the brim. Now, when we read this story, we're like, oh, that makes sense. When Jesus tells you to do something, you do it. That's because we're reading this and we know maybe some stuff about Jesus. They didn't have any idea of who he was. There's so much humanity in this story. Imagine, let's be there. You and I, we're working a wedding gig. Polyester button-up, crooked bow tie, wine's gone, steak's gone. This is going down south. We're in the back staff room going, we're just waiting for our boss to come in and fire us. Uncle comes back. Hey, I'm Jesus. You guys have a slop sink? I have an idea. Fill up with water. Are you going first? I'm not. I'm bow tie off, I quit. This is crazy. Who's doing this? And they do it. They're doubtful, but he involves their faith, and he says, fill them up. And what's crazy is they had every single excuse to not. If you are here today and you are looking for a reason to not believe in Jesus, you will find it. But I want to encourage you. Jesus says, just a little bit of faith, like a mustard seed of faith. That's all I need, and mountains will move. And so he draws that out of them. He involves that level of faith. And they respond and fill it up. Jesus, he could have produced the water. He made the wine. He could have gone, water, wine, now go. No, but he says, I want your doubt. I want you to do it. Because he wants to involve your faith. Then it gets even crazier. They fill it up with water. And then Jesus goes, now fill up a cup and go walk out over the dance floor and give it to your boss. I'm not doing that. But they do. And they go and give it to the master of the feast. And I don't know when the water turned to wine. I don't know if it was in the filling. I don't know if it was in the ladling. I don't know if it was in the passing. But every point in time, I'm going, this isn't going to work. And then it touches the lips of the master of the feast, and it's the best wine he's ever tasted. Jesus involves this guy to show him there's a better way. See, this master of the feast, this wedding planner, he knew how to do the business. He's like, I do wedding gigs for my life. I know how to get the most out with the least in. He's like, here's what you do. He even gives his business plan. Here's what you do. You do Camus up front, the best wine. Then when they're a little buzzed, you give them $2 chuck. This is how it works. No. Jesus shows up and he's like, see, my kind of kingdom is both backwards and better than this world could ever imagine. Your way of doing business may be working, but my way is world-changing. I love this story. From start to finish, he invites and then he involves people along the way. Why? Ultimately, it's to inspire. Now, I'm not talking about like cheap Instagram inspiration. Like, that's cute. No. Inspire, the word literally means to breathe in, to move or to be guided by divine inspiration. And we see in verse 11, because of this party wedding at Cana and Jesus showing this sign, it says his disciples believed in him. It's to trust. It's to throw the fullness of your weight down upon something. Whoever Jesus invites, whoever he involves, he inspires. They do not leave the same. They leave with new breath in their lungs or their breath being taken away. And this experience leads to the disciples' belief. We invite, we involve, and we inspire others towards Jesus. This is what he does. This is the way to life and the way to live. And if you're wondering, well, how do we inspire people toward Jesus? Here it is. The best thing you and I can do to inspire others toward Jesus is to share our experience with Jesus. The best thing you and I can do to inspire others toward Jesus is to share our experience with Jesus. Your own, not someone else's. And so I want to ask you, what has your experience with Jesus been lately? Is there a time you've shown up desperate and he's provided? Is there a time you have felt comforted or encouraged when you've asked? Tell somebody about that. In a very normal you way. When we look at how Jesus invites and involves, the people around him leave inspired. Think about Mary, his mother. In this moment, at this party, she has her belief in Jesus confirmed. Think about this. The friends and family that were most likely at this wedding had been whispering and talking about her shame and disbelief surrounding her pregnancy for the past 30 years. And in this moment, all of that now silenced. Her shame removed. The servants, they see this is no ordinary man. When we run out, he runs in and makes a way where there is no way. Their failure redeemed. The master of the feast, when you think you have the best way to live, Jesus shows there is a better way. Do not miss this. This is a miracle, but more than just a trick at a party, it's a sign that he's saying Jesus came to redeem, to restore, to bring the better way of the kingdom, and to defeat every shame on every level that held everyone at this party captive. And this is just his first sign. He does 7 of these in the book of John. After this one, water to wine in John 2, in John 4, he heals a Roman official's son close to death. Then in John 5, there's a paralyzed man who's waiting by healing waters. He's been paralyzed for almost 30 years, and no one will help him get into the water. And Jesus arrives on the scene and says, "You don't have to wait anymore. I'm here now." And he heals the man. In John 6, he feeds 5,000, saying, "What I'm bringing is actually covering many, many people." Again in John 6, he says, not only does it cover many, but it's on the move. We're going to the other side because this kingdom message is for all people. Then in John 9, he shows up to a man born blind. And he says, "I give sight to the blind. I bring light in the darkness. Do you see who I am?" And then again in John 9, one of his best friends, Lazarus, is dead. He's not close to death. He's behind death's door. 3 days. And Jesus says, "Lazarus, get up." And he does, showing death will not win. And this increases and it crescendos in John 19 when Jesus goes to the cross and he invites the world, he involves the world, and he inspires the world to believe. And why does he do this? The answer is in Hebrews 12. It says, "For the joy set before him," Jesus, he endured the cross, scorning its shame. How beautiful is this? Jesus steps onto the scene to remove shame at a wedding in Cana. And a short while later, steps on the cross to remove shame from the world. Only God himself can reveal this way to live and this way to come to him to get life. So as we prepare to end today, there's only one more group in this story that we haven't quite filtered through. That's the ones reading it today. You and me. This was written then for you now. He's inviting you. He's involving your faith, no matter where it is. If you're desperate, if you're doubtful, if you're delighted today, he's saying, I want you to experience me, and I want you to offer what you have. And he longs to inspire you, to give you new breath in your lungs. If you haven't received him today, you can. Shame can be removed. Salvation today. If that's you, I'm going to be up here in the front. You can come forward. I would love to pray with you. If you have received that, we're going to remember through communion as we close today. He's inviting you. He's involving you. He longs to inspire you. There's communion under your chair. You can grab it even now, and as the band prepares to play, you can peel back that top layer and then carefully the second layer to get the juice. We are saved and we are sent. We invite, we involve, we inspire people toward Jesus. This is the way to life, and this is the way to live. And so as the band plays and you take communion, you'll see there's the bread. This is his body broken for you. Do you believe? And then the juice, his blood poured out for you. His death, removing sin and shame. And then his life breathed into you so that you can live and help others find and follow Christ and experience the transformation that's on the other side of your invitation. This is the way to life and the way to live. Would you join me as we pray? So God, thank you. Thank you that you enter into our story, you invite us, that you involve us by drawing out our faith. I pray today, right now, that people who are desperate, that people who are doubtful, although they may not know what to do, they in this moment come to you, Jesus, and say, I need. And would you meet them there like you always do, and would you give them what they need? In Jesus' name we pray, amen.